Lots of people here to watch this match. It almost looks like, actually, it might just be full.
It is.
There's even people standing in the very back without seats. So
standing seats here, guys. Every seat and every person here tonight to watch one of these teams lose and one of them continue their amazing, unkillable streak in series. Griffin up against SANDBOX. Griffin starting on blue.
And Thresh ban right out the window from Griffin. See what SANDBOX responds with, taking away the Lissandra from Chovy. And now Camille, yeah, definitely being banned away by Griffin. Surprising, maybe Tarzan wouldn't want to just pick it.
Yeah, I mean, maybe they just don't want to first pick it, and obviously, as you mentioned before, you can't really give it to On Fleek. He's too clean. Interesting Braum ban here. Another pick I would say you have to watch out for is the Akali, as Chovy is 5-0 on that pick, but it's kind of hard when there are so many good picks for the side of Griffin.
And it's an interesting point that you just brought up is, you know, traditional bans that we would be expecting to see, we're not really seeing it out of either team, with maybe the exception of Lissandra and Camille.
Ooh, here we go again.
Because you just can't really target Griffin.
Yeah,
like you're mentioning. Chovy can play anything. This guy has a champion ocean available to him, so...
a champion planet, basically.
Yeah. Champion galaxy, and here comes one. Akali, potentially, I mean, she is one of the defining champions in the game right now on 9.2. You know who's not a defining champion anymore? Aatrox. But he just got locked in for SANDBOX. See if they accompany that with another one, which is Cassiopeia. So, Griffin, you know, you were mentioning in the previous cast earlier tonight that Griffin doesn't seem to care that much about Cassio. And what Griffin basically said here is, you can take Lucian if you want, but then we get Cassio. Surprisingly, though, Griffin didn't want Cassiopeia.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose they just value the Akali for Chovy a little bit higher. It's his most played by far, 5-0. His next is Galio at 2-0. So, just wants to get onto Ultra Comfort and the best, but will be potentially going up against a Galio here.
I think someone needs to get SANDBOX the patch notes. Give them a little bit of a rundown. Galio and Aatrox on the same team, and this is patch 9.2. So this is very peculiar, and it's running into Urgot. So surprisingly, the still really strong mid lane pick in the Akali, who wasn't hurt as much as some of the other mids, and the super powerful top laner, Urgot, who survived this patch, ends up on Griffin's side, but SANDBOX does get the Cassiopeia. Now we're moving into the second ban phase. Fiddlesticks now being banned away by Griffin. Could definitely be quite annoying for the Aatrox and Cassiopeia. And Xin Zhao now being banned away by Griffin, which I think is an excellent choice. And they have the mixed damage in the bottom lane and the mid lane, whereas the Aatrox is likely going to be fending for himself up in top lane anyway.
Yeah. Do you consider banning Lee Sin here as Griffin once again? We were mentioning it before. It's On Fleek's most played. Could consider it. They do want to chop down on Fleek's champion pool.
Ornn.
Yeah, they're targeting Lehens here. And take away all the supports away from him, all the weird stuff, all the new stuff. Whatever it is, it's all being taken away.
Well, we'll see if they do end up going with a Lee Sin ban. That would leave up Xin Zhao. Or, sorry, Xin Zhao is banned away. That would, well, Nocturne actually banned away as well.
Yeah.
Lee Sin now going to be Hubbard, and this is just what we were talking about. The interesting thing is they do ban the Nocturne so that there's no synergy there with the Galio to provide for the engages.
There's definitely a lot of scary champions on the side of SANDBOX. But as you mentioned, they want to take away synergy with the Nocturne ban, so I do like the idea. Kind of trying to take away from their all-out engage opportunity. But Lee Sin will be in a similar light, and Tarzan thinking about the Zac now.
He's hovering it. And this is interesting. This definitely gives them a lot of kill potential up in the top lane with that Urgot blue side Zac, especially if Aatrox is ever pushing him in. Although we don't know yet. Maybe it could be Cassiopeia in top lane and Aatrox goes into mid. Well, that would be a little less likely, and now Shen locked in as the final pick. Now, the team composition for Griffin, they don't have a lot of wave clear. They don't have clear access to getting to the back line of SANDBOX outside of a Zac being able to jump in, getting submarined with the Shen, and then Akali trying to dive all the way into it. But generally, you're going to have a reliance on summoners to a degree. You're going to have to play around key cooldowns in order to sort of make that play work. But also, you're going to have the items necessary to make those extremely deep plays. So Griffin's team composition definitely has somewhat of a reliance on Baron in order to truly close out games. Although if Akali is just super, super fed, things just might not matter. And now for SANDBOX, Gragas definitely going to be able to help with offsetting those type of dive attempts.
Yeah, I like the idea. You could have considered some other supports that were available, but there were actually a surprising amount of bans to the support pool in this game. I mean, you take a look at the Thresh on the side of Griffin, and then on the side of SANDBOX, they banned out 4 different supports, so they kind of eventually left themselves with not too many good picks left available, and they do go with the Gragas. So we'll see if that does work out. League of Leshen does come back as well, as we will have Lance hopping back onto Shen.
Urgot, Zac, Akali, Lucian, and Shen. Zac's primary goal is to get an acceleration going either up in top lane or mid lane, but he does definitely have potency in bottom, and then they're looking to have an explosive mid game. This team comp slows down greatly after 2 items. And on the flip side, for SANDBOX, Aatrox, Lee Sin, Galio, Cassiopeia, and Gragas definitely have some more tools available to them inside of the Cassio as the game goes longer. But likewise, this team composition also peaks in mid-game.
Yeah, very, very true. Well, guys, the moment has come finally. Game number 1 of Griffin versus SANDBOX starts now. Well, we are on the Griffin side, it turns out, as they started on blue, and man, the cheers quite loud here in the stadium for Griffin, who, of course, as the best team and the untouchable one so far in the LCK, have garnered a ton of new fans and just tons of people coming down to watch their games all the time. SANDBOX, if they take a win tonight, even one game is what I was saying before, even just one, that proves something. They do something that nobody else could do yet. And, of course, they would like to get the 2 wins, but is that even possible up against Griffin is another question we have to ask, as people have always been saying that Griffin do have a chance this season, it feels, to maybe even go 18-0.
Yeah, and like I was saying earlier on tonight, there have been teams that have gone on massive winning streaks, and everyone's hyped them up as these monsters inside of a split. No team has ever looked as dominant as Griffin is in the LCK thus far. And in its own light, that is causing some viewers and people around the world to question, is Griffin really just that good, or is LCK looking a little bit weak?
Yeah.
And I'm so glad that I get to watch this series here tonight, because there's a lot of eyes on this series to see what can SANDBOX do against Griffin.
It really is. I'm glad you bring up the point. I think Papa was even tweeting about it earlier, maybe yesterday, about how, is it the LCK or is it Griffin? Overall, we'll have to wait and see as we do come along, as Viper did pick up the dash first here on the side of Lucian, and also picked up his corrupting pot up against Cassiopeia. I believe he did the same thing against Victor, because he says, well, they're going to be sitting back, they're going to be farming, I'm going to get poked a lot, I need the sustain rather than just straight up stats to trade.
Yep. Definitely the thought process is there. You can see Shen and Lucian looking for intel on the Scuttle Crab, or maybe the blue side jungle, as they're utilizing their priority in order to capture this. And this is a really nice pickup for Griffin.
Yeah, hefty amount of golden XP will be given over to Viper already to continue his dominance in the bottom side. Picked up that corrupting pot, but hasn't been touched yet. Not quite yet. Cassiopeia needs a couple levels.
Probably going to wait to see level 3 happen before the poke starts really coming down there, down in bottom lane.
Yeah.
And on Fleek, you can just see that he really doesn't have anything to do. He did a 4-camp clear on the left-hand side. He comes in here, finds the Gromp, and he's going to end up killing it, which is actually problematic. He's going to have a delayed path into his blue side jungle, and what this ends up doing is it creates a rubber band camp for Tarzan, which means that when Tarzan goes to eat his wolves later into the game, and the Gromp respawns, he's going to be able to thank On Fleek for giving him a higher leveled Gromp.
Yeah.
And now On Fleek is going to go into his blue side jungle. This is coming at a timing where Griffin are going to get the crash onto the turret, so the wave is going to come back into Griffin, and then On Fleek's on the side of the map where his teammates are pushing into the turret, and he doesn't have actual dive potential.
And for you guys who aren't sure what the rubber banding means, of course, once you kill it, it respawns higher level, you get more XP. And it's a feels-good man moment if you are that jungler. So, just wanted to point that out. Definitely something that Ellis is going to mention quite a lot here, as down in the bottom side, Viper just continuing, Viper and Lands, I should say, the 2v2 dominance down there, trying to take a big trade up against the Aatrox. You can see that machine gun going ahead, but Sword a little bit lowish on the mana. Does have that corrupting pot ticking, though. But a nice little trade to start it off in the top side.
So far, this lane is going okay up in the top lane. And we can see that On Fleek now, he's in his right side jungle, but look, Zach is already on top of his camps. Whereas Lee Sin is going to waste some time here. He is in mid lane, maybe looking for a lane gank against this Akali, but Dove is out of mana, and so now Lee Sin pathing to the left-hand side of the map. And Sword is still relatively healthy with those 2 corrupting potions, so he might actually stick around in the lane, but instead opting to just go for a recall. Cancels his recall. This would be the only gank timing that On Fleek would be able to try to secure against him.
We'll see if he does move into that position after the Krugs, or just continues farming, head over to the Raptors, do something like that. But pings are coming into the top side. Dove not quite level 6, but is edging up towards that side. You mentioned this gank timing, and On Fleek is here for it.
This is the only time to kill Urgot. After this, he's going to recall. He's going to get his first item. Aatrox is still going to have potential to kill him. It's not until the first Black Cleaver completion that the lane just turns on its head. So maybe with Galio later on, now that Galio's 6, he'd be able to find some help. Okay, well.
I love about how Jovi's just walking by. He's like, don't mind me. As now he's taking a good trade in the mid lane. He won't be diving the turret, as also On Fleek is nearby. So just a good trade there from Jovi. We're expecting a lot out of his Akali. Might just be the best Akali player we have here in the LCK. As On Fleek is hanging around, is going to go on top of Jovi, who does hop the wall. Everybody holding their breath whenever Jovi takes damage or gets near a death or a kill, because his KDA, guys, if you didn't see it, if you live under a rock, it's 104. And 1 death will chop that in half. He'll immediately go to 52 if he doesn't get any kills.
Can't have that happen.
That's not okay.
That's not all right.
We need to only increase KDA, not lose.
I gotta curse him. He's gonna die this game.
What?
What?
Why would you do that?
I don't. Some people like to see the world burn, you know?
Oh, no.
He's gonna get a death this game, Brendan.
Well, I'm not looking forward to that. Some people are calling for it. I was watching with Wolf Schroeder, his caster for other games, and a good friend of ours out here in Korea. We were watching the SKT Griffin series, and he was cheering for Jovi to die as well. So I hope you know that both of you guys are on the same page with that, at least, as I am not.
In a video game, of course.
Yes.
Yeah. In a video.
I hope you guys understand where that's coming from.
TOS.
Don't think there should be any misunderstandings there. As On Fleek is heading up towards the top side once again, and this time he is 6. And we've seen a lot of good Lee Sins in our time. On Fleek as well is extremely clean on the combo, so expect some good stuff from him. Has a level up on Tarzan, and is actually going more. He's going in. He's not messing around.
He's level 6.
And there it is, the kick into the wall, but actually a lot of health given back over to the side of Tarzan. Is just going to go and head and smite the camp as well, As no big deal, he says, on Fleek now could be in a lot of trouble. Here is the rest of the SANDBOX team, though, but they're still going on Fleek. He gets the shuriken, doesn't even need to get it in. Lehens gets first blood, but now we got two very strong members on the side of SANDBOX, but they will not continue to go on in there as down in the bottom lane, Viper casually going 1v2, and as Urgot was making his way back into the fight, SANDBOX had to back away.
So we can talk about the upside of this fight is Dove doesn't have any mana remaining and he doesn't have teleport. Summit went to that fight. Meanwhile, Sword was back up in top lane. He's getting priority. I think he's going to get a plate on this wave just looking at the minimap. And now OnFleek's under a lot of pressure to try to relieve the stress in mid and top lane, and he's not going to be able to. And so even though it was a 1-for-1 and it looked like, you know, it was an even trade, in the grand scheme of things, it's really not. Take a look at it right here. OnFleek misses his Q. Chovy, with the stand united from Lehens, goes right in on OnFleek. They missed the taunt right there, but it didn't really matter. Tarzan was here for the backup, and you can see Sword trying to move over to a fight that he wouldn't be able to arrive at, even though he had, I think, the Ignite swapping. And then once the lane phases returned, it was ultimately a pretty big win for Griffin. Should be noted, Sword was not able to pick up a plate up in top lane, but you look at the CS across the board. Mid is winning, bot's winning, top's winning. And the only role losing right now is jungle in terms of the CS department, but that doesn't really matter.
Yeah, he'll be just fine. Zach will just build tanky. And by the way, Chovy's KDA is now 105, so I hope everybody is counting with us as we go along. I know Twitch chat loves to count.
Twitch chat does love to count. You leave them alone. And right now, I mean, Blue handed off to Galio. He doesn't quite have his ultimate available to him yet, but now he should be able to sustain more inside of the lane.
OnFleek still hanging around here. See if he can make a play onto Lehens, but no flash currently available on OnFleek, whereas Lehens is also Shen, so pretty hard to pull that one off, and he will just back away.
I really like the way that Griffin's playing out this game. Everything's very slow and controlled, as it should be with that Zac. Chovy taking a trade.
Oh, they want to get on top of him. He does have his cleanse going on in. Chovy taking a bunch of damage, but again, he is a Kali. He's going back in, trying to nearly get a kill onto OnFleek, saying, get the hell out of my lane. He's going to be totally fine.
And both of them are backing up right there, maybe trying to bait Chovy, as Galio's just out of vision. He has flash available too. And not too much going to happen right here. Tarzan now recalling. Meanwhile, up in top lane, not sure how close Urgot is to the Black Cleaver. Oh.
Well, he's trying to make this play up in the top side.
And it's going to expire. Oh, I thought it was about to expire.
So close.
That was really close.
TP in the bot lane. They want to get on top of Joker, who is in so much trouble. Dove trying to help him out. But there it is, the passive proc on the side of Zac. Can they get it down? Can they get any kills here? They will get the Zac down, but Dove still available. Not going to go down. Here comes Chovy, though. Trying to get on top of OnFleek, but an easy kick away means that the fight will end in the end.
That was a very uncharacteristic mistake that Griffin just made, and I'm really surprised to see them do it. Ghost was out of mana on the Cassiopeia, and given the fact that Chovy was tailing OnFleek, it would have been a fine trade to keep persisting on with that and kill Dove, or at least get his flash out of him. But instead chose to back off, and just a second prior to that, we were talking about the Urgot and Aatrox interaction. But hold that thought as we talk about this trade down in bottom really fast. You can see Joker and Lehens sort of looking at each other. Tarzan coming in from behind. Joker manages to escape there, not causing Ghost to get locked up by the CC as well. Viper kills the Gragas right there, and they're doing so much damage to Dove as they're trying to kill Tarzan. And then right here, yes, Lee Sin's here. Ghost is out of mana, and Galio just came out of Zanya's with Chovy tailing.
Yeah.
So they could have definitely gone further inside of that trade, but chose not to.
By the way, guys, up in the top side, we did just see it in the picture-in-picture. They were actually finally able to get on top of Summit, who did not have his ultimate available, it didn't look like. So Lehens makes it happen with the Stand United. They get a kill up there, and they're looking to roll that into a Rift Herald on the top side, but on Fleek and the rest of SANDBOX say, okay, we'll just take Infernal.
And I always think this is actually a really big victory for whoever makes out with the Infernal. The Infernal is going to continue keep scaling the longer that this game goes. We'll take a quick replay at how Summit just died. And right here, doesn't have the ultimate. They use the Stand United. Telehens right there, good sir, as they pick up the kill onto Summit. He did not have his ultimate available.
Yeah. Maybe just has to be more careful in the lane, especially when he doesn't have his ultimate. Just say, okay, give that one over to you. With the Shen on the side of Griffin, always have to factor that in, that he can join anywhere on the map in any fight.
Interestingly, you know, you just mentioned Aatrox having his ultimate. The interaction I wanted to touch on a brief second ago for all the Urgot players in chat. If you ever go up against Aatrox, and you have your ultimate on him, wait for it to tick down before reactivating, and then for like the last 2 seconds activate it, and as it pulls him in, it'll expire right as he enters you.
Yeah.
And it ends up giving you the kill. So, not a lot of people do that enough in the Urgot Aatrox matchup, but it's really important in regards to how you can win it.
It's the way to do it. I hope you guys are taking notes, as On Fleek is on a ward. And let's see how Griffin and their side actually deal with this. They're denying the vision with the sweeper, you can see. Can they actually get onto On Fleek? There's the knock-up. Tries to flash away, but they're going to be knocked heads together, as there is going to be no escape. The flash taunt is going to get on top of Dove. Ghost doing his best to just disengage, and Griffin as a team say, okay, TP coming in, Sword not going to TP himself. Let's just back off after seeing the victory in the fight.
And now all the members of SANDBOX are in mid lane, although it does look like Ghost is going to be quick to go back down into bottom. But right now, Griffin, 2.5k gold lead, and you ask yourself, what has really happened this game? And it just looks like SANDBOX handshaking or starting trades that aren't favorable for them, and Griffin just saying thank you. But right here, though, On Fleek, a little bit too deep inside of the jungle, tries to flash out. Tarzan says, hey, do you guys like each other?
Now
yeah, kicks Chovy away. He's mad about his KDA. Majin Buu ends up whiffing right there. And then the teleport coming in from Summit, not really necessary, but ends up repelling them. And now lane phase resumes. And this also is a really healthy lane phase. Look at all the turrets. We're at 16 minutes.
Yeah, this is very uncharacteristic of the current meta. Lots of pushing and getting plates, doing damage, using Rift Herald, but Rift Herald has not been used. It's nearly expiring now. Tarzan's got to find a lane for that soon. They'd love to get it mid lane, but, you know, can't always get what you want.
Getting it mid lane to break the wave clear stall in the mid game is really important, because once champions start having their first or second core item, they have so much damage in their spells that it becomes a lot easier to wave clear and push back against siege attempts, that first tier 1 turret provides so much vision and protection in the later stages of the game.
Sword doing a little dance with the wall, as it looks like he wanted to fire over there, as I believe he had vision, but did not end up going for it. By the way, just an update, Chovy at 106 KDA, which means that if he dies, it goes down to 53. So definitely would be interesting if we do have the death in this game. Always something to keep track of as we do go along. But right now, he is a Akali that has Gunblade, plus the Orb, the Oblivion Orb. He's going to be doing some sick damage in a bunch of these fights.
Just look at the magic resist on Galio right now. It's at 59. Once the Sork boots are completed for Akali, he'll have 33 pen. Galio not going to be having the best of time with that, but other members on SANDBOX, they're not going to be as fortunate as Galio. But Akali will be dealing near true damage, like, for instance, Cassiopeia, 34 magic resist.
Yeah.
Once those Sork pen boots are completed, Chovy's going to be dealing true damage to Ghost.
And that's not what you want. I've, on the ladder, you see this a lot in Korea, I'll pick blind Cassiopeia because she's strong. And people will just counterpick Akali, and they're like, okay. I'm going to have a fun time with you. You try to land a poison, she's so fast. You're really squishy. You miss your ult because she can just dodge it, and then you're kind of crying the entire time. So Chovy going to be having his way with Ghost in this one, most likely. We'll have to wait and see if he can get positioning in the backline, which is something you mentioned in the pick ban.
And I like what Chovy was just doing right there. He was making Dove have to use his Q in order to get the cannon minion, and that opened Dove up to a susceptible trade due to the distance between him and the cannon minion. Really, really minor, but can end up completely changing certain lane dynamics, depending on how big of a trade it's taken. And let's just point out Chovy's CS right now, 202 at 18 minutes. I mean, it's decent.
You know. In my games, I get 203.
Yeah.
He's having a fun time. Nobody can really touch him. I mean, they tried to put pressure onto the Akali, try to gank him before 6. Multiple times did On Fleek go in, but nobody was able to kill him. Not yet. Only one person. The God Killer that is tall is the only person, by the way, who does have the kill on Akali, or rather on Chovy. So if you're wondering who has the power, it's tall.
What's the, is it King Arthur? The person that pulls the sword or something? Yeah, that's basically what it, you know?
Uh-huh.
He was able to get that one kill. He was the chosen one
He was
to
the
kill
chosen
him
one.
so far.
Yeah.
But right now in this game, 2K gold, a little bit less actually now than a 2K gold lead. And for Griffin, the first major team fight that's gonna have to take place in probably the next 5 minutes or so because the Mountain Drake is coming up. Griffin has to win that one decisively because the tipping point is 2.5 items. That's when Galio and Cassiopeia are going to start to become a little bit more problematic. And the only upside Griffin has going for them is the Akali. She's the standalone champion in that team comp that won't slow down until way later in the game and is constantly a threat to the primary carries on SANDBOX.
You're mentioning Cassiopeia. I wanted to point out the builds. We did see Archangels a couple of times in our first series, but now we're going back to the Ludens for bot Cassio. In extended trades, especially around Baron, you find that this kind of Cassiopeia that doesn't have the extra mana kind of runs out of mana if it goes too long and you don't have blue buff. So could be hard, especially because they're red siding. Getting blue buff means you have to be on the right side of the map and then go over to the Baron. But we'll see how he does deal with his mana issues.
And so far, not really sure what to make of a almost 21-minute laning phase here in Griffin vs. SANDBOX. I don't think anyone was probably expecting this.
Well,
especially not given the team comps.
The team comps are there, but
there it is.
It kind of reminds me of Griffin SKT, where kind of nothing happened for so long, and then SKT slowly did nothing and died. Yep. Could see something similar happen here, where nothing happens for a while. We stay laning for a long time. And then all of a sudden there's a big team fight, Chovy assassinates Ghost, and then they take Baron and win the game. Like, that definitely is a...
Can you stop spoiling the script?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, all right, turn the page.
Sorry. Oh. I was on the wrong page. Sorry about that, guys.
All right, well, and I mean, I think this is also sort of giving a glimpse as to why Griffin are 8th in damage per minute.
Yeah.
They're not quick to try to force things. They don't need to. But... well, when they do damage, they're going to make it count.
They're getting in onto Summit, trying to go 1v2, and Chovy, he wants an assist. Wait until Chovy gets there.
KDA.
Wait, don't kill him.
KDA.
Wait. Okay, he got it. 107. Props to Chovy. As Taunt's coming in here, they're going 2v3. They want to save this turret. Not quite able to as it does go down, but hefty amount of damage loaded onto that bottom side as On Fleek will help his team secure a turret.
First turret of the game now going over to SANDBOX. Gold is almost even, and it's really important to factor in that Infernal Drake because every single member on SANDBOX actually makes use of it, with the exception of maybe Gragas, as he doesn't really have any AP inside of his items right now. But Lee Sin definitely loves an Infernal.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you this, as the Observer did point it out there. The WMAX on the side of the Lucian Viper has done this a couple of times. What is your take on the reason why he would do that in this certain lane?
Well, you don't want to get close to Cassio, and the Q sort of makes it so that you have to get close to the Cassio. The WMAX gives you your passive as Lucian whenever you want it. It offers you long-range poke, offers you a way to try to fight back against this type of a lane dynamic. Yeah. It's a little bit more reliable than the Q, at least in the early parts of the laning phase. And by the time the mid-game teamfights would be breaking out, you're going to be getting access to Q anyway. So it's not the end of the world.
Yeah. It was interesting, though. I think he also had a second point in E in the dash. Not 100% about that. We take a look at it now. Yeah, it's actually maxed second. So he's maxing his Q last on Lucian. Suppose he wants to be very mobile. Maybe we'll have a MVP interview and ask him about it. As in the mountain, rather, is coming up here in just a moment. 15 seconds, and SANDBOX setting up all their vision for this objective.
This is quite an important one at that. It is the Mountain Drake. And SANDBOX, if they get a Mountain Drake with a Cassiopeia, that Baron will just disappear.
Yeah.
So both teams should be putting high priority on this. Both top laners do have teleport available to them right now. It's just a struggle for vision over these choke points. Well, that's not the right direction. Unless they're anticipating some sort of a flank ward from Summit. That could be the only reason to maybe hit it that way.
That's what you'd have to imagine, as Chovy coming in from the right side, looking to potentially sandwich the side of SANDBOX, but they say, nope, we're going to back away and just be safe on this one. We will not overextend for the Mountain Drake just yet.
And this is critical game point. Whoever wins this fight is going to completely shift absolute control of the game. Chovy got priority down in bottom, makes Dove have to respond to it. Now, Dove not being with the rest of his team is sort of okay because he has the Galio ultimate, so can use the Grand Entrance to enter the fight. Problem is with the priority constantly going Griffin's way, Sword might have misstepped.
Here we go, Sword maybe just a little bit too far, but the taunt does come in, and here comes Tarzan. Wants to go for the engage, but now they're Urgot's low, they're Zax's low, they don't really have a front line, and Griffin have to back away, but SANDBOX not willing to get away from that one, trying to follow up engage onto Lehens, who is able to taunt away to safety.
Yeah, but I do think that it is good enough. That should be enough to get the Mountain Drake at least in. I mean, so many members
the Wolves?
Were just the Wolves. So many members were just taken so low. Yes, Sword has teleport, but that should have definitely been an opportunity to initiate the burst because Cassiopeia would have such a good angle. Griffin would be forced into her concave, and that just would not have been beneficial.
Well, now Griffin's set up for this. He's looking for the engage, trying to get the steal. Not going to happen, but a couple of heads are banged together, and this taunt comes in, and here goes Chovy, able to take out one, flips to safety, goes to 108. Here's the follow-up as Griffin are on the chase. Hero's entrance, going to try to zone them away, but Tarzan wants to continue the fight, will not be able to. Only the one kill on the backside onto Lee Sin, but at least the Mountain Drake went to the side of SANDBOX.
Yeah, and it's not just going to be the one kill. They're definitely going to be able to pick up the mid turret. They're going to get some CS that SANDBOX isn't going to have access to. Never mind. Teleport actually coming in. You're not going to be able to hold the turret, not if Viper and Lehens don't want you to. Well, they actually say that, okay, you can hold the turret. I guess they are anticipating that Gragas would almost be there.
Yeah.
But the turret was just one Lucian passive away from death. And now Sword looking to get the bot tier 1 turret. I do think that Summit will get there in time. Oh, no, actually it won't. Nope.
Yeah. Sword able to take away one turret, even if it's not the mid one. And Joker, well, we're not going to get to see that, guys. Sorry. As it looks like in the picture-in-picture he did go down. But here's the replay from the Mountain Drake fight.
Yeah, and this is basically a full-on retreat at this point. Everyone's just trying to get away. You can see Chovy goes right back in there with the stand united on Shen. Stands right at the edge of the Grand Entrance. Doesn't get knocked up. Takes a little bit more damage. Tarzan tried to persist on. Wasn't able to.
Say he almost died because he was low health, but probably not even that close, as could have escaped. Picks up an assist and goes to 109. Looks like, guys, we might be breaking 110 tonight. Hope I didn't just jinx him. But either way, in control of this game right now is Griffin. A lot of people were predicting a 2-0, even though SANDBOX are undefeated, just because of the way that Griffin wins their games.
Take another quick replay right here. Joker deciding that as the support,
it was a funny joke.
Extremely, yep.
You know, he's doing his job.
Well, that was quite anticlimactic. I actually have no idea what he was doing over there. I can't even try to come up with a false narrative. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, just a mistake, and it's an unfortunate one because, you know, you don't want to be giving extra gold, extra kills to their side. Fortunately, Griffin weren't able to just roll it into a big objective. Fortunate for Joker, I should say, as they just pick up the kill, pick up the blue, and should be happy with that.
And right now, just some posturing yet again. As Chovy goes up into the top lane. And SANDBOX, I mean, at one point, they were about 2K gold, close to Griffin, and yes, they are down 2 turrets right now, but it does feel like the map movements are definitely consistently going in Griffin's favor.
Chovy level 17, up a level here on Dove. Has his Zonias now too, so in terms of not dying, that will certainly help him out and just be present to fully engage into that backline and not be scared to do so. Has that 3-item core, going to be having some fun times with that.
And right now, Cassiopeia has the Fiendish Codex. Curious to actually see what the 4th item of choice will be for Ghost. But both of these teams, you would think that they're being ready to fight, but I think that SANDBOX is probably content to just wait for that second Mountain Drake. One Mountain, it's nice. It doesn't dramatically change the speed at which you can raise turrets or capture the Baron. Although, I mean, to a degree it does for SANDBOX due to the uniqueness of their team comp having that Cassiopeia. But 2 is just worlds apart. Suddenly, 1 and 2 champions can accomplish what normally you would expect you'd need 3 or 4 to do.
Yeah, they'll be looking towards that objective for sure, coming up in 50 seconds to a theater near you. But everybody on the side of SANDBOX, by the way, one thing I was thinking about, or saw rather, everybody had 2 control wards. Everybody playing that vision game to the best of their ability, really trying to take back their jungle away from the side of Griffin.
And 28 seconds, but SANDBOX still, everyone is up in top lane. Important to note, Chovy does not have teleport. Although with the amount of AP and AD he has right now, he will shred that top tier 2 turret. Gold lead just keeps increasing.
They control basically the entire red side jungle of the side of SANDBOX, so they're very happy to take more of those objectives, more of those camps, more of the wards, and continue to buffer that gold lead that they already do have. Now this Mountain Drake has spawned, but we have a fight in the mid lane as it looks like Shen. Lehen's here in a bit of trouble. Fantastic cast, but Lehen's is gonna live. Oh, no, never mind. What? The Arcane Comet says hello. Okay, on fleek, you went way too deep in that one. Chovy trying to get 2v1'd on that side, but he's being just fine on the right side as well. They're going to get the Fear Beyond Death. Chovy picks up another kill as well. It is utter domination to the side of Griffin as they're going to take out everybody on the back of this one. Chovy, nearly died on that one. He's going to stick around, though, as they pick up their 4th kill in a row and may move to the Baron.
Definitely not playing for KDA at all with some of these actions, as it looked like that was going to start off okay for SANDBOX. Lehen's went down, but it was all just a long, cruel ploy, as now Griffin able to turn that fight on its head. They're going to convert this into Baron, and with that, I don't know if SANDBOX is going to be able to hold on to the next siege push that's going to come in the next minute. Taking a quick look at the replay, we can just see how this all unfolded. Ooh. You can see, well, that was definitely a little bit of a bobble back and forth, and that beautiful cask by Joker, able to separate Tarzan and Lehen's, knock him back into the team. Looked like the Redemption was going to be able to save him, but not quite. And then you can see Joker and Dove trying to lock up Chovy. But what that meant is that OnFlake was just a little bit too far forward. Ghost out of mana, not able to do anything here.
Yeah. Viper in a weird spot, was trying to decide which fight to join, as Sword says, I don't need your help. I'm going to take him out myself. Chovy gets pretty low on the back of this one as, oh, you thought you could take the Mountain Drake? You are sadly wrong, as the head's gonna bang together once again. Ghost in a lot of trouble, trying to get on the back line is Summit, though. As Sen, getting extremely low, they're able to chip him down. Is the side of SANDBOX going on in. And there goes Toby in the back line. He takes out 2 immediately. And he's not going to be done there as he takes out a 3rd. The rest of SANDBOX, only Dove, running home with his tail between his legs as they pick up even more kills.
Yeah, and Dove is certainly going to go down here in just a second. Try as he may to run away. Viper says, no thanks, not today.
There it is. Unfortunately, Chovy not able to pick up an assist on that one, but it doesn't matter. He gets the assist on the game, and so much more to add to his repertoire. We're going to go for the big push now, as still 10 seconds left on Joker. They may look to end this game.
There's no way that any of the members that are coming up are going to be able to stop this. Gragas is going to have to stand there and watch on fleek. Maybe he'll throw a dragon kick. Not even probably going to, but never mind. He's
Just
not even going to
spike him with the spear with the Fear Beyond Death anyway. Add some damage to Sword as once again